Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying your weekend so far. Um, I have my not really a different setup, but my old computer. So hopefully, audio is coming in clear. And I'll go ahead and take this banner off. That was a primitive supposition of my 2-track EP, River Sprint. If you want to go check that out, I've been really composing. I've been not spending as much time on my YouTube channel, which I think is okay right now because the free time that I do have, I really would like to put into music and writing. And I think it's been for the best, at least for this season. Let me go ahead and hide that and see what you guys have to say. We will have the camera. It is my old computer. No, it's not my old computer camera, but it's not my phone camera. All right, audio sounds great, says my wonderful prof. And oh wait, that was Nathaniel Solo's ball. 1 second, let me make sure my water's nearby. Excuse me. It's sinus season, I think. Sinuses. Yeah, so anyway. All right, so it's my normal camera from the computer, which we might do. Actually, it really depends on the freezing. So it looks kind of blurry and fuzzy. Let me make sure I'm sitting. Well, if I sit up, then my head is cropped up or cropped off, whatever. So I might sit like this, nice and relaxed. Let me just move the camera or the computer just a little bit. That's better. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, everything looks good from my end. People say sounding good. My wonderful prof says looking clear and beautiful. Thank you, my wonderful prof. Speaking of which, I'm not a sports fan. This is just a nice, comfortable shirt that my mother-in-law gave me a couple years ago. So that's why I'm wearing it. People are like, "Oh yeah, you're a fan of that team." I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. I'll walk by and people say, "Oh yeah, I'm a fan of theirs." So I'm like, it's just a nice shirt. All right, so let's welcome the chat. Get you up to speed on what's going on with the channel. Not much. There's not much changing. I just wanted to let you guys know what was happening, and then we'll just it's not really a discussion per se, just more like a rant on some music of recent movies, some soundtracks, and I have no idea if these are just exclusive examples. This could be indicative of other recent film that I'm not aware of, so we'll see. But anyway, let's go ahead. Samuel Proctor is not in, but he did say, so you have a church event and you're just dropping by to say hi. Well, hi, Samuel Proctor. I hope you have a wonderful church event. Yeah, that's par for the course when I stream on Sundays. So anyway, my prof says, oh, Team Ghost Planet says, before prof, see you guys soon. Well, thank you for coming, Ghost Team. I keep saying Ghost Team. Ghost Planet Max Inc. 1.0. Prof says, looking forward to your wisdom, my Even Star. Or Evan Star. I think it's called Evan Star. Yeah, that's Arwen's name. Yes, he is my Aragorn. I am his Arwen. All right. Stunning and Brave Megatron is in. You say hello. Welcome. Going to be in and out of the show today as I'm finishing spray painting the frame for my Disney princess collage I'm making for my nieces. Well, that's so wonderful. What a nice gift. I bet they love their Disney princesses. Well, that's cool. I'm sure that's going to look great. Brian's in. Welcome. You say not part of tonight's topic, but I managed to you managed to put a small rack on the top shelf for your gaming setup. Good job. That's wonderful. Yeah, that always feels so productive when you have a nice little nook of things that are organized. All right. Final Fantasy, welcome. Nathaniel's well, I'm just gonna call you Nathaniel because I don't have say your is that your surname or is that like a fiction name or something? I don't know. But what do you say? You say fun fact. In the Mario Brothers movie, during the scene where Mario and Peach were riding in the car on their way to see Cranky, the music that was supposed to be played was an orchestrated rendition of the tracks for the Funky Kong or for the Donkey Kong Country games. Well, that's good. I'm glad. The melody and the rhythm was even synced to the action. Well, that's good. So actually, so for this, before I forget, if any of you have seen the film Super Mario Brothers, which I think actually now it's been a year since it's been released, just let me know if I'm mistaken from what I had heard of the soundtrack because I thought don't even know what the soundtrack sounds like, and I listened to it and I was I've got some things to say about that. Andreas Hernandez says, "Hello, people. Are we talking about cinematic music? Maybe if it comes to that, yeah." Is this going to be about the roast of Hans Zimmer? Maybe. I don't know if I have something to say. Nine Breakers in. Spidey Rules, welcome. Good to see you. And looks like you guys are talking amongst yourselves there. So yeah, really quick before we get into the discussion, hopefully the audio sounds good. I, I like this setup so far. I'm not freezing, which is kind of nice. So maybe if I don't freeze, maybe this will be the video format for my stream. Who knows? It's not as clear as the phone camera, but whatever. It still passes. Studio Super is in. Welcome. Good to see you. So just a quick channel update. So streaming is normal Sundays, Sunday afternoons, 5:45. I kind of like to do it a little before 6. That way I have a little extra time. Just in case I wanted to go overtime, which I usually do. And yet 5:30 is too early for me because I'm either walking or I'm writing. I had a good writing stint earlier today. It was great. I completed 1,000 words between this afternoon and last night on one of my stories, my novels. So I felt pretty good about that, but I haven't walked yet. So I'm going to walk hopefully after the stream. So who knows? Maybe this will be a short stream. Anyway, my channel. It's so streaming is normal every Sunday. That's not changing. But I think what is changing is a little bit of a slowdown with my educational videos concerning SuperCollider and Logic Pro. And it's not because I'm not interested in doing those anymore. I've actually I don't have any current topics to prepare for such videos. They by and large don't get the view count that I'm after, especially, proportional to the work that goes into those. Sometimes they do, sometimes Logic Pro especially, some Super Colliders too. My old videos, sometimes they are evergreen, which means they just keep getting views, which is really worth it. But I don't really have anything. I actually have to learn a little bit more before I even give it a demo or a tutorial. And I'd like to spend the time not doing that and just being in SuperCollider and just having fun. And if I'm trying to like build a baseline and do some interesting stuff with it. And if I do something interesting, then I'll just show it to people as a demo until I learn more to teach more. That's kind of how it's going right now. So I need to like do less SuperCollider demos so I just have more time for me being in SuperCollider. So that's the thing. Same with Logic Pro. Also, I've been composing a lot, which is awesome. Teaching takes up a lot of time, and especially being married and being in a family now, that also takes some time. So the creativity is there, but I'm so into all these things, all like writing, composing, experimenting in SuperCollider, that I can actually get a little what's the word? A little disorganized. Like my schedule's not quite there. Like, okay, this is the time you're going to compose. This is the time you're going to write. It's been a little bit of mishmash. So saying no to that on YouTube, saying no to those types of videos actually has benefited me as a creator, more time for creativity. That said, I still need to continue with some musical things regarding YouTube. And just recently, like last night, I think around midnight, I posted a 7-hour, no ads, no interruptions, black screen of pink noise. Pink noise that has this nice roll off, this cutoff frequency that makes it really sound quite smooth. Put that through a reverb and posted it. And I think so far people are liking it, which is good. I will do another one with pink noise ocean waves, like not actual ocean waves, but waves of pink noise that sound like the ocean, because I can do that. And then also an ambient track. I actually do have some music for sleep or concentration or something like that. So that will probably be on the dock for my channel going forward, at least this month. So anyway, that's my channel. Now, since this is hopefully primarily a music channel. We got to talk about music just a little bit. I wanted to talk about, a few things I had heard, and I wasn't even thinking about doing this for a stream until I started teaching music. I have some students, some vocal students. Actually, I think I have just one vocal student now. But she's showing me different songs to look at, and then I have this other student who apparently her music teacher at school wants her to play a song from The Greatest Showman, the movie. I think that's like 5 years old now, with Hugh Jackman. I've never seen any of that. I've never seen the movie, and maybe you guys have seen the movie The Greatest Showman. So this is just coming from a musical perspective. But when I think of showman, or when I think of master of ceremony, or a ringleader, or a person who's the leader of the show, and from what I could see of The Greatest Showman, it's more like um, more like a circus act, or um, is it? Yeah, I think I'm thinking of Ringling Brothers or whatever. I think that's the setting. I didn't really look into it before this stream, so if you guys have any more input on that, just let me know. But it gives me the impression that this is kind of a circus show of sorts. Maybe a little bit different in aesthetics, but there's tight roping. There's the Hugh Jackman character is wearing a red vest with the beige trousers and the boots. I mean, that is a leader of the circus per se. So that's just my guess. I could look it up right now, but I'm not going to. And so I'm like, okay, I'm thinking if you're going to set it to a music score with songs included, there's got to be a more circus effect in the music, or something like a musical. So something that is um, like a what's oh, goodness, I'm blanking on the major musical names here, but anyway, it's got a very specific musical effect for this show, and like a little bit of Americana, a little bit of folk, a little bit of circus, like even music that you might hear in the Batman animated series when Joker is being funny and being a joke, and just giving the punchline however he does, that kind of circusy music. And when I was listening to the songs, they weren't songs out of a yeah, it was something like Rodgers and Hammerstein. Those are the two people I was thinking of. I was thinking, okay, it's gonna sound more like a musical. But when I listened to the songs of the Showman, it was very, very much pop. It was between Beyonce and a little bit of contemporary Christian worship music. And I was asking my student, I was like, "Does this remind you?" Because she goes to a Catholic church, but I don't know if she does contemporary worship. I think she does. That's my guess. And contemporary worship, Christian worship, has a very specific vibe. And some of these songs of The Greatest Showman had this popish kind of, not even Adele. It wasn't even that creative. It did have a more Beyonce vibe, or some maybe oh, what's her name? Alicia Keys. That vibe. And I was like, this feels weird. This doesn't feel like it would belong to such a film. I could be wrong. Maybe it's a perfect match for the film. But my impression is like, is it supposed to be like a real contemporary setting of a circus or something? Because this just doesn't sound. Maybe circuses nowadays do put in pop music, and it's not like the early 1900s or late 1800s Americana Ringling Brothers kind of feel. But that was my general impression. The songs, besides two of them out of like the 14, they all sounded the same. One or two sounded a little different, but especially when the females were singing, the female characters were singing, it sounded the same. There was no change in mood. There was hardly a change in there was no change in the structure. Structure of the songs were the same. You had your verse, you had your verse 1, your verse 2, your chorus, maybe a bridge, maybe a little instrumental interlude, and then this final climactic chorus, and then it, tapers off or whatever. That's actually very common in church music, in contemporary church music. following just a very formulaic structure, and it was kind of boring. There was a male character that sings, and I think the song is called "Come Alive." It was still poppy, but it was a little bit more interesting than the rest. So that's my first example I wanted to give, where the music just it didn't look like it would fit the film. Now, I'm saying this pure speculation. I hadn't seen the film, but apparently it was huge when it released. I think it was released like 2019 or maybe right before 2020, and people talked about it. I heard it along the grapevine. Like people, it was a movie that people were into. So I guess I'd have to see the movie for myself to make the total, the final adjudication. But my impression as a musician and as a composer, like this music does not seem to fit well with what I'm seeing, like the images I'm seeing. People, girls in short skirts or swimsuits on a tightrope. I mean, it just doesn't sound right. So that's my first impression. So that was The Greatest Showman. I actually do think the songs, even if it did fit the film, the songs are a little boring. People love it. They love those kinds of songs. A little boring. So not interesting composition. I don't expect the soundtrack to last. You'll hear it on the radio. And that's actually the thing is, I know I've heard some of these songs on the radio. It's radio music, and I was like, why is there radio music in a film? So that's my first example. Next example I actually want to talk about is Mario. But one sec, let me grab. Uh, let's talk about the Super Mario Brothers movie. So that was released last year. So it's been a year since it's come out. I think it came out either April of last year or May. And I hadn't heard the soundtrack, and so you guys who've seen the movie, you need to help me with this because I could be mistaken. But I heard a lot of the different points of the film narrative. This music, I can't remember who composed it. Sorry. But this music for the Super Mario Brothers film does not match the Super Mario Brothers world. Now, I will say this: it's fantastical, it's whimsical, it's adventurous, it's animated, it's fun. It could fit the animation, but it doesn't fit Mario. And one reason for that is specifically Mario, especially from the composer of Mario himself. I know there have been many composers, but the composer for Mario is Koji Kondo. He worked with a lot of different things that made it specifically Mario. The first thing is he always made it happy. He always made Mario music happy. Now, I know there are some, like the Mario 64 has a more moody, relaxed feel for the underwater areas and stuff. But mostly, especially with the original games, from the first game, Mario 2, Mario 3, and then also Super Mario World, like those games are they pretty much marked the whole musical aesthetics of Mario in a few different ways. The first is it's upbeat, it's happy, and it's working with very interesting. Well, how should I put this? Structurally speaking, it's very well paced, and you gotta first get to. I would say I think rhythm and harmony are pretty much intertwined. They're pretty much the same in terms of level of importance. The rhythm really does dictate what the harmony is doing. The harmony is always happy. It's upbeat. It's got some ragtime. It's got some Americana. It's got some funk even with some of the rhythmic choices. So Koji Kondo really, I mean, we all know the Mario music. We can always guess. Like even if you don't know all the Mario games, and someone like had a black screen on and just put in music, and you say, hey, is this for Mario or is this for other game? I'm like, oh, that definitely sounds like Mario. People would instantly sound like Mario, or recognize Mario. And it's like, oh yeah, it's upbeat, it's bright, it's working with more major keys, but also some good modal mixture that sounds like heroic and spunky and all that great stuff. The world understands Mario music. And the tracks that I heard with the Super Mario Brothers movie, I know they put in, like, the Mario rap, I know that was put in. I'm sure there were some little signatures, like, there were some themes with Koji Kondo, involved. Maybe not him involved, but definitely his music themes were involved. Because I when you see the poster and you see the soundtrack say, "Oh, themes by Koji Kondo," so that's good. But as far as, like, going from the real world, from Mario's real world to Mushroom Kingdom, it really sounds the soundtrack really sounds like it could be from any movie, any animated adventure movie. And that's not really a good route to take. Like, Mario has a plethora of soundtracks, like, you could pick any game. Like, maybe Mario's real world will really be influenced by a very specific game. And then when he enters Mushroom Kingdom, maybe that's really much influenced by the first 3 games of the first 3 Mario games. Uh, I am very surprised that the soundtrack sounds the way it does, because if you were giving me the track and you put it on a black screen and say, "Do you know where this movie is from?" I would say, "Well, it sounds like a children's film, or it sounds like a family film. Could be Pixar. Could be one of the new Pixar movies. Is it one of the new Pixar movies?" And say, "No, this is Super Mario Brothers." And I would think, "What? That doesn't sound like Super Mario Brothers." So that was my impression of the Super Mario soundtrack. Is like, you could say, "Well, it's so colorful and it's so adventurous." Yeah, the music does match the image. I'm like, that could be true. Could match the aesthetics of the animated film. But does it sound like Mario exclusively, or can it sound like anything else? Like when there's some foreboding thing, some ominous thing. Is that just Bowser and his Koopa troops trying to take over, or can it sound like anything? That's the whole point. Is I've said this so many times on my stream. You want to make things really specific. Mario is really specific, crazy specific. So anyway, looks like I got a super chat from Studio Super. Thank you so much, Brian Tyler. That's his name, who did the Super Mario Brothers movie, isn't exactly, my favorite composer. He was great with Thor, did Iron Man with a cool theme, but it didn't quite fit Iron Man. Same with, uh, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Interesting. Yeah, it's his music isn't bad. I'm not saying the score is bad, it's just not specific. People are getting so generic with their music. His chords are fine, his orchestration's fine, the sense of foreboding and adventure is fine, the happiness of the Mushroom Kingdom village, it's it's fine, but it's just not. I mean, at the very least, what about, like, I would prefer, Yoko Shimomura with her tracks and the RPG game. But, yeah, so that was my impression. People really loved the movie. I think the music, if I saw the film, I think it would turn me off. I People say, "Well, you can't just have video game music for a movie." I was like, I think with something like Mario, you can. It doesn't have to be completely verbatim, like, "Hey, this track comes from exactly this track here from this game." It doesn't have to, even though I honestly, I'd probably prefer that. Uh but you can work with the same key signatures, tonal structure, mode mixture, funk rhythm, ragtime rhythm. You can work with so many elements that Koji Kondo worked with, and then still make it sound like Mario, even if you don't reference an exact soundtrack. All right. Nathaniel says, "Loved the soundtracks to the Luigi's Mansion games." I think I will have. I don't know when it's gonna be. It's probably gonna be later. Maybe this year. I don't know, depending on what we can afford. But Prof wants to get the first 2 Luigi's Haunted Mansion games. I remember seeing one of my best friends from middle school play the first game, but I didn't see all of it, and I haven't walked through the whole series. So Prof is definitely gonna play those. I'm gonna enjoy watching those. Yeah, that's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. But I never played those myself. All right. Okay, so Final Fantasy fan says, "Greatest Showman is only famous because of Hugh Jackman and Zac Efron. Is that his name? Zac Efron singing together. Woo. Oh my gosh, those movie stars can sing. Did you know that I think that was like a criteria for most actors and actresses in the early days. Like it was not surprising that they could sing. So, Brian says the worst part of the SMB soundtrack was the use of popular music. Oh, popular music, like straight up popular music, like actual songs played on the radio. They should have stuck straight for the game music instead of that nonsense. Oh my gosh. That's so sad. So sad. Yeah, that would have been a huge that would be a few points docked for that. All right. Ninebreaker says, what I don't get about video game movies is that the games have tons of great OSTs, but they barely use any tracks from them. Maybe it was a copyright issue. I don't know why it would be though. To be honest, guys, I don't even know Nintendo's role in that movie. Like how much control did they have over that movie? I mean, I actually don't even know the legal relationships involving that film. But let's say someone approached me. I probably wouldn't do this because I don't think I have the I don't know if I would be the best choice to compose. But let's say I was given the opportunity saying, hey, Nintendo wants us, an American film company, to adapt one of the Mario games into a story. Koji Kondo can't be around. He's involved with something else. We like your music. Well, we can't use any of the Mario themes. That's okay. I would say I'll take it anyway. And oh, are you gonna make it sound like movie music? I'm like, no, I'm gonna make it sound like Mario. Because I know all the elements, well, not all the elements, but I know a lot of the parameters. Kondo and all the other Japanese composers used. Very, very like if you know your theory, you would know how to make a Mario track and not have it be stealing or a copyright issue. One sec. I don't know why I just took a drink. Shut off the camera. I might do that from now on. Who knows? Ghost Team Ghost Planet says, "I love the Super Mario 3 score. It's good." My at least one of my favorite tracks actually is that main world music from Mario 2. Andrea says, "Do you think the reason they use cinematic music is because they view video game music as amateurish or silly?" I mean, I'm not one to say, but I could guess that not amateurish or silly, but they want to appeal to everyone, like all families. Now, of course, most kids would love Mario because they I'm sure one out of every 2 or 3 kids um, has played at least one Mario game growing up. Like if they have any games nearby, so maybe they were just trying to appeal to a wider audience, which I'm not sure the reason. Maybe it is a legal thing. Maybe they got the composer and say, hey, I don't know how to. Well, I can't copy Koji Kondo and all the other, Japanese composers. Legally, I can't do that, so I'll just make film music. That's I didn't look at any interview or anything. I probably should. Probably should. Maybe I should have just dug up some articles or something on the topic. Yeah, this stream is pure speculation. This is based on impressions. This is not any knowledge that I have of the situation. Brian Gilmore says to Andreas that the whole idea of not using video game music is quite silly because video game music requires just as much effort to compose as well as any other kind of music. Well, at the very least, you need the same level of skill as you would compose for a symphony orchestra. And if not a symphony orchestra, film music. And it doesn't matter the medium. It doesn't have to be an orchestra. It could be a whole set of electronic instruments and synthesizers. But it does have to see the video game. Even with things like obstacle courses like Mario or getting through side-scrolling environments like DKC. They don't have a lot of story. Mario has a simple objective. He's trying to defeat King Koopa, save the princess. Donkey Kong just wants his banana horde back. He's trying to defeat King K. Rool. I mean, these objectives are very simple that require little to no story. And still, it needs to have the same narrative, not completely operatic, not involving a film or an opera or a musical or anything like that, but still enough to get you going. And I'm sure especially Yoko Shimomura with her work in Mario RPG, JRPG, or 7 Stars, I should say. That was a story. That was a really good narrative. It's one of the like Mario 7 Stars and Chrono Trigger, man, they are the best in terms of story. Um, and she needed to work with a level of, opera behind her, some film behind her, like things that would help with the narrative. Not much. There were only a few cut scenes that needed that kind of music, that musical interlude, but it still involved storytelling. And so to Brian's point, he's right. Video game music requires the knowledge of orchestration, arranging, the knowledge of composing for an orchestra, if you are, and most people do for video game music. And for that, you need some classical training, classical ear training, theory, fundamentals, all that good stuff. Ghost Planet, Max Inc. Your family beat Super Mario 3. It's a great game. Great game. Oh, thank you again, Studio Super, for this super chat. I really appreciate that. And the entire MCU, my favorite composer is Alan Silvestri. He really knows how to build suspense with his music and makes things seem bombastic and humongous. My favorite score of his is Polar Express. I saw that movie. I don't remember the score. I wasn't a fan of the movie, but I could take a listen to the soundtrack. It's not a bad movie. It's just not my favorite movie. All right. Nathaniel says Koji Kondo's work is sprinkled throughout the movie. Oh, that's good. That's good. Though I can understand what you're saying. The original pieces do sound kind of like what you're describing. Yeah. I mean, maybe it wouldn't bother me. I mean, I do like that kind of stuff is peppered in. Like his themes are peppered in. But I wouldn't do it carelessly. Maybe you know this better than me. Well, you do since you saw the film and I didn't. Is it well done? Is the incorporation of Kondo's themes well done, or is it like, oh, here you guys go to remember all the Mario games by? So I don't know. Brian says, I had similar feelings about a Nemesis theme from Resident Evil 3 remake compared with the theme from the original game. The remake sounds like it could be used for any monster chasing you. Yeah, like things like that. They need themes. I always talk about that. Always. Hey, Amiel. Good to see you. Oh, you can't listen right now. We'll watch on the playback. Well, welcome back to the playback when you do come. Thanks for stopping by. Let's see. Nathaniel says, oh man, as much as I enjoyed the latest Godzilla and Kong movie, I agree that the film's soundtrack was one of the weakest points. Oh, that's too bad. Can you explain why? What made you think that? What gave you the impression? That'd be good to know. All right. Let's see. All right. So Andrea says, as much are people going to hate the new Mario movie so much they're going to say that Bob Hoskins movie was actually good? I understand people having problems with the new Mario movie, but I don't know if I'd go that far. I never saw that movie. Bob Hoskins. I have no idea even what that looks like. The only adaptation I ever saw was the cartoon. Was that back in the 80s or the 90s? And I think that's where the rap came from. Excuse me 1 second. Uh, Stretching. Yeah, so I don't even know uh anything about that old live action movie. And maybe you've heard me say this too before, Andreas, but one reason why well, a couple reasons why I wouldn't want to see the Super Mario movie is people say, "Oh, it's so tame. Princess Peach is not that bad." That's not her voice, and I know she has the little voice like this or something, whatever her voice is. She had a nice voice, actually. I like her voice in the 64 game. "Dear Mario," she has kinda like that kind of voice, and it's a little deeper. She has a high voice, Daisy has a high voice, so you couldn't really do her exact voice for the whole film. I understand that, but there was something so kinda like this with her voice. It's like, when I heard her voice on the trailer, like, that's not Princess Peach. That's not her by any stretch of the imagination. I don't think I could handle her talking like that if she talked a lot. The real downer for me was Seth Rogen's Donkey Kong, man, it doesn't look like Donkey Kong at all. Maybe there were legal complications. Maybe they couldn't quite make him look exactly like he does. Even in Mario Kart, even the most recent Mario Kart, Donkey Kong has a nice look to him. What was the other one? Oh, and then also, like, there are some Mary Sue moments. I can't and I need Mario for his first big movie. I need Mario to save the day, like really save the day. That includes Princess Peach. Oh, but he did. He did. I don't know. I don't know. I had heard that she does not like Princess Peach is like first in Mario Kart, and she does not get hit by the blue shell. It's like you, if you're first, you get hit by the blue shell, no matter what. You can't avoid it. Can't evade it. Can't do any evasive maneuver to break away from that trajectory. The blue shell comes at you. It's just hopeless. It's a hopeless situation, and Princess Peach needs to feel that if she's in first place. Speaking of Mario Kart, like, I'm very competitive. Well, my husband's also very competitive. I say mean things on Mario Kart. All right. Nightbreaker says that the soundtrack. Um, oh, excuse me. You say you watched Godzilla and Kong fighting Mechagodzilla in their um, VS movie? Oh, versus movie. And the music that was used was a hollow electronic piece. It says, "Hi, this is a big killer robot," but it wasn't memorable at all. Yeah, that's the problem. Like, people think impactful is memorable. Like, oh, make it big, make it loud, make it in your face. Well, you can do all that, but make it memorable too. Final Fantasy says, I guess no one has ever heard the saying, as soon as you appeal to everyone, you end up appealing to no one. Yeah, in the case with again, I just don't know why the soundtrack sounds the way it sounds. Maybe it was to appeal to a larger audience, but the thing is, even if it wasn't as successful in North America, it would, of course, that movie, of course, would have been crazy successful in East Asia and possibly some parts of Europe. Uh, so they had a big enough audience, I think. All right. Let's see. Nathaniel says, "Let me put it this way: Peach would have been way worse in the movie if Nintendo hadn't gotten involved." Really? Well, that's interesting. I should read. I should look into that. That'd be very interesting to see. All right. Uh, yes, I'm even gonna put this up. There's beauty and simplicity. You I could go on a rant because it makes me so angry when I think about not angry, but just makes me annoyed. I'd be a terrible liberal arts professor if I ever got a job as a professor teaching liberal arts and teaching music. Be I'd be getting under people's skin all the time, including students. But people like you're right. There's beauty and simplicity, and people like who support things like modern art. And I'm not talking about all modern art. I'm not painting it all under a wide brush, pun intended. But modern art that's really bad and really ugly. People try to say, "Oh no, it's deeper than you think. It's more complicated than you think." It's actually it's the idea that matters. It's I'm more open-minded than you. Like there's like this contest. I see it on YouTube. Like when the more I explore art, like what people are talking about with art, people like there's this contest. I'm I'm superior to you because I'm more open-minded than you are. Yeah, you think this you just want pretty mountains and rivers and self-portraits that are well done. I'm like, "Man, what is your problem, bro?" Like, there's nothing wrong like, people say, "Oh, conservatives, they just want beauty and simplicity." It's like, there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, and? Like, that's a problem. I was no, it's not. It's not a problem at all. Oh, alright. The I hear someone talking upstairs. Might have to turn on the fan. One sec. Yeah, that's gonna distract me. I'm super distracted when it you guys can't hear, but I can. One sec. I'll be right back. Alright, we're gonna do old school. Let's see. I'm gonna wear my headphones. That's okay, I can hear my voice a little bit better now, until I'm so distracted. I might even listen to my pink noise music while I talk to you guys. But conversation does distract me, so I'll have to yeah, just go wear my headphones for a second. Studio Super, says what did I went white all of a sudden. You say Batman and Superman animated series. The scores sound cinematic. In Superman, my favorite piece is from an episode, Little Piece of Home on YouTube. It's titled "Under Lois Gets a Phone Call." It's super good. Thank you for the recommendation, and you guys check it out too. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I've seen the Batman animated series, and I have yet to see the Superman animated series. So I probably will. I'll inevitably hear that soundtrack anyway. Cool. Yeah, and also Shirley Walker was really good with the Batman animated series. Like, there was in fact, I think it actually earned was it a Grammy or Emmy, Grammy, some musical award. I can't even remember which musical award it was, but the episode Bullet for Bullock and the music was so good. It was like big band, film noir, intense action scenes with a lot of jazz playing, a lot of big band playing. It was really good. Private Eye, welcome. You say you should read the Super Mario Adventures comics. In short, they are great. I those comics, are they manga style or are they like the old Japanese illustration style? Because I think I've seen something like that. Uh, Ace is in the house. You say the Bob H version is a hot mess. Yeah, I have no interest in watching it myself. All right, let's see if I've not skipped anyone. Oh, that was toward the end there. Let's see what you guys are saying, and we can talk talk about, I put up the Dune on the thumbnail because I didn't have enough room for just 2, or I had too much room for just 2. I needed 3. Oh, that helped. All I had to do was move my hand and then the light went away. That's nice. Hi, Al. Good to see you. Princess Peach. That's right. Good for you. That's good. That's good. All right. Let's see. Hopefully, I'm not skipping any chat. One great track from a movie I watched. This is Ninebreaker. One great track from a movie I watched was the one that played during the battle against the Tiger Tank in Fury 2014. The German chanting of Luke 21 verse 22 really sticks to your mind. That's good. Yeah, I like these recommendations that you guys are giving. All right. Nathaniel says, I don't know. I've only seen the Super Mario Brothers movie twice, but since it is illumination animation, and wouldn't surprise me, they're pretty cheap and lazy when it comes to their films. I know nothing about that. My prof says she's vicious at Mario Kart. Hey, I'm pretty vicious, but you are too. It's not just on me. Oh, it's been a while since I've worn headphones on screen. All right. Unfortunately, Spidey Rule says the feminists have convinced the movie studios that saving the damsel in distress, saving the damsel in distress. Can't say that word. Damsel in distress. Saving the damsel in distress is sexist. It's like it's only sexist because they don't like it. I'm gonna tell you guys right now. And I was talking to some associates. Um, I'm a teacher, but I teach at a store, and these associates are, much younger than me. Like they're in their early 20s, and off and on they talk about like old flames and stuff, and they couldn't comprehend when I told them. I said, guys, like no, like maybe I shouldn't be nice to the girl. Maybe I should be a bad boy. Maybe I shouldn't care and be aggressive and stuff like that. Because like chicks dig the bad boys and stuff like that. And I told them chicks think they dig the bad boys. What they really do like is to be desired. And part of being desired is to be pursued. I'm talking about women. I'm not talking about men. I'm talking about women. Women like being desired and pursued. And Princess Peach is no exception. She is always happy when Mario comes around and saves the day. And people are like, "No, that's so problematic." I'm like, "It's only problematic because you think it's problematic. No one else thinks it's problematic." Uh, okay, so Andreas is confirming. You guarantee that if Nintendo wasn't involved, Peach would have been way worse. Yeah. Interesting. You continue to say you think Peach has a decent voice. That's not too silly in the Mario 64 game since she says actual dialogue. Oh, that's true. It is true. That's true. Yeah, I mean, she reads a letter, so it's not quite. Well, no, she comes at the end of the. I'm enjoying that game. I was telling the prof, so I've been playing it because we got the Switch. He for my birthday he got the extension pack that involves the Nintendo 64 games. And, I went to Mario 64 immediately and thinking, it's probably clunkier than I remembered." And it is clunky. I can't figure out the wing cap. I gotta practice that. But at the same time, it's kind of addicting. It's like, I don't remember this game being so addicting. So I'm really enjoying Mario 64. I mean, I wouldn't call it A tier. It is though leagues. I hate to say this. I hate going against my simian friends, but it is leagues better in quality than Donkey Kong 64. I like. I appreciate the look of Donkey Kong 64. Music's okay. It's not Dave Wise at all, unfortunately. But those mini games, like for every time you're a character in an area, you have like 5 mini games, which means you have 25 mini games because there are 5 characters, and it's like the mini games really slowed the game down. If they didn't have the mini games, I'd probably have enjoyed, that game so much more. It's very unfortunate the gameplay is not it didn't age well at all. Surprisingly, though, Mario I'm not saying it's aged well. Mario 64 has not aged well, but I like it. I really enjoy it. So anyway, that was a sidebar. All right. Um, let's see. Nathaniel brings up the fact. Who would have thought that the voice of Peach from Mario 64 would go to play Cortana in Halo? Well, that's an interesting fact. Jennifer Hale did the voice of Peach in the movie. I think that's true. Um, she's an iconic actress, and I think more as a voice actress. I'm so bad with actresses and actors and movies and stuff. It's not my favorite voice. I'll be real. I that almost coming of age. I feel like Peach is older than a coming of age, and Peach in that film sounded like coming of age. So yeah, hashtag not my Peach. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. All right. Oh, okay. Andrea says differently. Jen Taylor is the voice. Ghost Planet says Danny Elfman opening and ending the Batman in the animated series for seasons was beautiful. Yeah, it's good. Yeah. So when Robin comes into the series, and it's not bad. I don't think the episodes themselves are worse off with Robin, but that the opening is not the same as the iconic first opening when it's just Batman. Um, it's very anticlimactic. Climactic. If you look if you go YouTube, like I guess season 2 Batman when Robin's coming in, um, there's the main iconic Shirley Walker theme that I do like a lot, but this is the opening theme. This isn't just music in general. This is her opening theme for season 2. It sounded so haphazard. You have the iconic theme, and then it just sort of builds up. Like there's this like brass section that builds up, has an idea, builds up again, but not without any real narrative build up in the music. It's like da 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 da. It's not good. She must have been on a deadline. She must have been like, okay, here you go. But the first, yeah, it's good. I like her theme. I like her main theme for the series. But the opening music is just not good. It's like a C minus in my book. All right. The wing cap works like a glider. You need to dive, then ascend to get upwards. Yeah, I know, I understand that, but like there's only so much dip you can do before you can't even reach that height. I was like, oh, I'm almost there. Yeah, yeah. Oh, thank you, Studio Super, the uh, for super chat. I really appreciate that. You say feminism is so harmful that it's convinced women to be islands of themselves. Ooh, that's really well put, and it's very sad. They think they don't need anyone, and if anyone should enter their lives, it should be to serve their desires. Yeah, yeah. And Prophet and I kind of joked about it on one of our walks this week. It's like people who really like. I'm not talking about happy people with feminist tendencies. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about who have identified themselves as such. As like I have not seen them happy. I've only seen them miserable. It's like, are you really happy? And the reason and part of the psychology of the woman and the thing is women don't know this. They they gotta understand that this is psychology. They don't know this until they know it. And that is like, oh, I can do everything myself. I can do anything. I can do it all by myself. And it's like you think that's gonna give you perpetual happiness, like a continual happiness, like you're rooted in yourself, you're centered, you're complete, and it's not true. Women wanna be longed for, and they're not admitting that. By one person, one special person, not a whole sea of people. Like if you're like a famous TikTok personality or a YouTube personality, it's like, no, 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 no. They don't want to be. That's the thing is they won't feel desire. They won't be fulfilled if they're the object of desire for many people. It's one person, and I found that with Professor D. Let's try. Okay, I don't hear talking. Getting hot with those headphones. I remember getting so warm with those headphones. One second, I'm gonna comb out my hair real quick. Just do that. All right, 1 hour in. All right, let's continue on. Andrea says, if sound engraver, he says sound engraver, if you were a liberal arts professor, you would be an actual good professor that actually teaches wisdom. Oh, thank you. Here's the thing. What I would say, I would be so forward, not just with my students. I would be forward with my peers, because what I believe to be true about art is completely antithetical to what they teach. At least in the North American universities, at least in the United States. United States. I can't speak for Brazil or any part of South America. In fact, I think South America and Japan, I think this is arbitrary sort of. They have a really good music education system. Really good. Like they are no nonsense. At least from what I heard with Brazil and the music education there. I can't speak for all of South America. But yeah, United States, man, like I was telling Prof, like, I was like, the older I get, the stupider things sound. Meaning when I was young, well, I'm still young. I'm 37. That's that. I'm still young. Not a kid as young. But when I was young, like 19, 20, I was deeply, very impressionable, especially with people of authority, like a professor. Like that's what makes professors and their vocation and teachers. When you hear insidious things going on in schools, like the teacher and the professor, if they're a bad apple, if they're a bad person, they can deeply psychologically affect the student for the worse. Like the student will be worse off if the professor is not responsible and edifying in whatever they teach. Like if they manipulate or bully the student into thinking a certain thing because why? Because 20-year-olds are highly impressionable. They're like, oh, this 50-year-old has had way more life than I have. Who am I to disagree with this person? Where was I going with that? I was going. Oh yeah, if I were a professor, see now that I'm 37 years old, I could walk into a college class, like audit. I could go into an audit, like or a situation, or just maybe visit my old professors if they're still teaching, and they'll, hey, can I sit in the composer's class? And then they probably want to ask me for my opinion, and if they didn't, I wouldn't give it. But if they asked me for my opinion, I'd probably be really off, like not off. I was I was saying bye to Ace in my head because Ace is going. I'd be pretty assertive in refuting certain things involving arts or the art vocation, because when you're 20 and you're listening to these liberal arts professors, you think, oh well, I'm only going to have more experience and have more understanding about art if I'm more open-minded. Now you should be open-minded to an extent, but don't forsake knowledge and wisdom for the sake of being open-minded, because some people make arguments for the sake of being open-minded that sounds so stupid to me now, but when I was 20 years old I'm like, oh yeah, that's probably true. Like it's not true now. No one would accept me as a professor though. I would be too honest. Like, oh, we picked you because you're a woman and we need more women professors. Like, no you don't, and I don't think you want this woman. I think she would say stuff that would get under your skin. Okay, so many people said different different actresses uh, voiced Peach in the movie. To be honest, I don't know any of them. However, whoever did that voice for Peach, it's just not my favorite. She sounds way. She just sounds like out of high school. It just doesn't sound right. Oh, Jennifer Hale, Bastila. See, she did Bastila. Bastila's great. Bastila's voice is excellent. She's like my second favorite female voice next to Demona from Gargoyles. I wish if I was a voice actress that I would have the presence. I don't know you guys will know, but Demona, oh my gosh, her voice is like the epitome of how a woman should sound. Like I'm jealous that I don't have that voice. I mean, I know it's an actress being a character. I know that's not her actual voice. Like she goes very low, and I can't really. Well, I can train myself to go that low, but it's great. It's my favorite. It's my favorite female voice ever. So good, and she's such a good character too. Huh. Very wonderfully written character. Anyway, enough about gargoyles. We were talking about music. Um, all right. All right. In other words, be open-minded. Don't be so open that your brains fall out. Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah, people it's almost like a virtue. Like I am open-minded, therefore I'm a better person than you. I was like that's what they say. It's like if you can't be as open-minded as me, I must be better than you. It's like I don't think that's how that works. All right. Cool. So, uh real quick before I think I mean, I put up Dune. We're not wrapping up for a second. Oh, thank you, Studio Super. Professor Geek is my favorite voice actor. His goofy voice lives rent free in my head. He doesn't have his goofy voice. Like he doesn't have a goofy voice. Yes, he has a goofy voice. You're right. That's so funny. It's like he doesn't have a goofy voice. He sure does. Yeah, like I remember when he did his goofy impression uh, on a stream one night, and like the chat went wild. They're like, "Whoa, can you say this in Goofy's voice? Can you say that in Goofy's voice?" Yeah. Oh yeah. He's like, "Oh shucks." That's my Goofy voice. I can't. I can't do much more than that as a female, but yeah. Yeah. He says "gorsh, gorsh." I'd have to practice it. He does it like flawlessly. Yeah. Yeah, he's crazy good. Yeah, with the character Goofy. Yeah. I mean, like, if I don't know who did the voice of Goofy all those years, including like the recent adaptations, but like if something happened to that actor and they needed a voice, obviously they'd probably do AI now. But my husband could do Goofy's voice. Yeah, great stuff. Megatron says I can do the Tom Hardy Bane impression. Yeah. Megatron, have you ever visited our dear friend Fan Man on his streams? I don't think he does streams this spring, or he won't. I don't know his schedule, but I haven't seen it in a good few weeks. But um, every time Fan Man makes fun of that third Nolan film, he can't help himself. He goes immediately to doing that Bane impression. And I think he says he uses that voice like behind his daughters and his wife to annoy him. And I'm like, that sounds so funny. Uh, oh yeah, you do follow Fan Man. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not even gonna try that impression. I do remember seeing the old classic cartoon, the old shorts, like the Goofy shorts, and my favorite one was the ski jump one. Oh my gosh. Like I remember my sister and I laughing so hard at his screaming in the air trying to do a ski jump. All right. So I guess we were saying it's one hour. Might wrap it up in 10 or 15 minutes, but anyway, so what was I saying? what was I saying? Yeah, Dune. I mean, I think Dune I in respect, is that the right word? I don't know. In fairness to Hans Zimmer, his recent creative choices have not been my favorite. But, with respect to Hans Zimmer, I would say, critically speaking, it can sound like Dune, he just doesn't work with melody. He doesn't work with harmony. I see so many YouTube musicians, like, "Here's the Dune track for piano." Like, there's so many videos out there for a piano cover for Dune, or a guitar cover, or a keyboard cover, or something, and it's like, "Oh, I can't wait till this goes away." Can't wait till it goes away, but, of course, it's not gonna go away until, like, the 3rd film is done. And that's why I threw Dune up there on the thumbnail. That's all I have to say about Dune. Think it sounds like, Spidey Rules is having a seizure? I don't know what you're talking about, Spider Rules. Alright. Megatron says, "You've been told your sick voice is good for doing an Optimus Prime impression." Very cool. Very cool. Alright, so that's basically it wasn't much of a stream. I just wanted to talk about that. I guess we talked a little bit about definitely a little bit about The Showman, even though I figured it wasn't a movie that you guys saw. I just wanted to put that up there. Having voice students, I'm trying, especially with one person, I'm trying to integrate a lot of different song styles. This is my first time teaching voice. It's my first year teaching voice, and I know a little bit, but not like the back of my hand, like violin or even beginning piano. I know how to teach piano fairly well. Not professional, like, oh, like I'm a pianist or anything, but voice is a learning curve for me. And so I'm trying to find different songs that work in different ways of expressing the voice and not even just with my voice students, but with a couple of my violin. I teach mostly girls, and so they either like Taylor Swift or Frozen. Now there is this one Frozen song that I actually will say it's a very good composition, and so I'm one student asked if I could transcribe a song for her, and I'm like, "Okay, I'll do that." And it was actually it's good. I'm not gonna watch the movies, but the melody is really good, and I remember telling another since I had this transcription of this song called "All Is Found," and it's a beautiful melody, actually, it does work. Since I had that, I was like, what I told another girl, I'm like, "I have this transcription of All Is Found, would you like it?" And her face just lit up, like, "Okay, yeah, you like Frozen." I'm gonna tell you guys, I don't watch Frozen. I don't know anything about Frozen. And all these girls, all these like girls like from like 11 to 15, they they're like they want to include me in the circle. Like, you must love Frozen. I mean, isn't this plot great? I'm like, girl power. I'm like, yeah, girl power. I know I don't say that actually. I'm like, yeah, girl power. I think that's how I answer them. I'm like, yeah, girl power. Woo. I try to be nice because they're, like, 13 years old. I don't wanna, like, crush their spirit or anything, but I'm like, I just besides that one little song that has a pretty melody, it's like, oh, man, some of this Frozen music is just kinda hard to I get paid pretty well as a teacher, so I'll go through it. Anyway, I think that's everything. I had everything to say. Thank you so much again, Studio Super, for your wonderful super chats. um, and everyone else for your great comments, putting in the discussion. Uh, so out, getting into this next week, I'm really, to be honest, I'm just planning on writing and composing. If I get something done for YouTube, I will, but it probably will be either. I don't think it's going to be an ambient track. It's probably going to be either what is it? A noise wave, ocean waves with pink noise, and then also what else? Maybe an ambient track. I do have some really nice ambient music. I found this beautiful image for the video, so it's gonna be great. Screw girl power, turtle power all the way. Yeah, it's I think I'll end the stream with this. Well, Ninebreaker says there's way too much hype about Frozen. It puts me off altogether. Yeah, I mean, I only do it because I am a loving, nurturing teacher. And no, I take that back. That's one condition. I'm a loving, nurturing teacher that wants the best for my students. Um, and if the composition is good, I will do it. I will teach them. If the composition is not good, I go for the bare minimum, set them, send them on their way for what they need to do, and then like, let's look at something else. It doesn't happen though that much because the music I choose predominantly is music I was going to give them anyway. But if they make a request, I'm like, well, okay, let me listen to the song first. There's this one, I have a voice student who's really into Olivia Rodrigo. I've not heard of her until talking with the student because I just don't follow a lot of folk pop musicians and stuff. The 2 songs that I have heard of Rodrigo's is actually very good composition. And her dad's like, "Not her again," but he's approved of a couple of the songs because they are actually really well composed. Very, very well composed, actually. So I'm like, "Okay, so if it's a good song, doesn't matter who the artist is, you know? If it's a good composition, I'll teach it." I have yet to say that for Taylor Swift, you know? So anyway. Alright. But I wanted to say, to Studio Super's point, I'll end it with this. I think why there's such misery in the entertainment sphere is because women think to be happy, they have to dominate the sphere that is predominantly men, predominantly male. This could be video games. This definitely was the case with science fiction, where it was a lot of men selling science fiction back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. There were women editors, but there were a couple women writers, but it was really a predominantly a male interest. And somewhere in the 20th century, maybe even before that, who knows, women thought, I can't be happy until I assume the space that is predominantly male. And they're finding that when they're taking over such spaces, such IPs, such franchises, that they're not happy. That they're not happy. And I'm not saying you can't have 1 or 2 or 3 or even half a dozen women uh, be interested because they're interested, not because they should be interested, but because they're naturally interested. Women should pursue things only the things that if it's fashion shows, let it be fashion shows. If it's makeup, let it be makeup. If it's being a seamstress, let it be a seamstress. And I know these are stereotypical, but it's like I think women would be so much happier if they just stuck to the stuff they were really authentically interested in. That's my take. Now, I saw Batman when I saw the animated series a little bit when I was little. I loved Power Rangers. Power Rangers were my thing. That was probably a more boy-girl thing, but I loved Power Rangers. Power Rangers was everything to me for, like, 2 years, then it went away. I don't remember much about Power Rangers. But, so I had interests in that, but it's like when you assume a role that is not yours, just because you can't stand that it's someone else's. Like, I wanna be in that sandbox, and they're like, "Well, that's someone else's sandbox." Like, "No, it's my sandbox. It's mine." I am uncomfortable that I am not in that sandbox and owning that sandbox. It's like, then you're never gonna be happy. So, like, I just what I think women should do is just pursue what they're interested in. I love science fiction, but I don't love science fiction because the world tells me I should love science fiction. I I didn't have an interest in science fiction until college, like graduate studies. I should tell you that story a little bit uh, another time. But basically, my love of science fiction was in the middle of 2 semesters in college when I was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It was the dead of winter, 5 feet of snow every day, 5 weeks of doing pretty much nothing because I'm like trapped inside. I'm not really a web surfer. I didn't watch videos. I didn't watch a lot of YouTube videos at the time. So I thought, well, I'll read books. No, I don't want to read nonfiction books. You know what? I never read 1984. Let's read 1984. And ever since 1984, I'm like, I might like science fiction, and that's what developed. And I didn't like science fiction because people told me I should. And contemporary science fiction, every time I read current projects, like new books released, this year or last year, I'm like, you guys, like, you have problems. Like, you seem to want to like pull me in and say, shouldn't you be mad about this like we are? I'm like, no, I just want to read good old fashioned cerebral science fiction. It could be adventure, it could be pulp, it could be scientific, whatever. Just get me out of that like attitude. So anyway, but so I'm not predominantly male thing. Like, no, it's not. It's equal. It's not predominantly male anymore. You're right, actually. Unfortunately, it's predominantly female. And female writers of science fiction, I've read a couple good stories, but only a couple. And I say this writing short stories. I love science fiction. I will say this though. I had this thought, and I'll get to the super chats. Thank you so much, Studio Super. You might make me have my threshold. No, there's a YouTube threshold. If in case you didn't know, like YouTube doesn't just give you the super chats. It's every month, and it has to pass a certain threshold before it gives you the funds. So thank you, Studio Super. You might have helped me out with that. Appreciate it. What was I going to say? The more I write my science fiction, I do understand that it won't be for everyone. It's just what I'm interested in. Now, I don't say that to disparage what I'm writing. I know a lot of men per se, like people, obviously Professor Geek, um, his friends, RJ from the Fourth Age, and his friends, they love action packed. And I am getting to the action with some things, but just not quite on the level as I think a man would write. It's more suspense, it's more introspection, and a lot of science fiction, even by male writers, are that way too. At least older science fiction. But I can understand, like, no, give me a space opera, give me action right at the first scene, and like, I got suspense in the first scene, I've got a mystery in the first scene, but yeah. But anyway, Studio Super says, thank you for the chat. Those that lust for power prove they aren't worthy of it. Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird thing. It is a weird thing. Yeah. And I agree with Brian Gilmartin. He's like, it is. Yeah, Mighty Morphin. Wait, how did that theme go? It's been like, what, 30 years since I heard that theme. No, I was saying that's the Kim Possible theme. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Is that how that goes? I'll have to. That's from memory from 30 years ago. Go Go Power Rangers. Yeah, that's also too. And I should look at that theme. Brian says, I believe imposter syndrome would be a good way to describe it. Maybe. I'm not sure. Imposter syndrome, like, for me, is like, oh, I can't compose good, or I can't compose well. Like if I'm like, oh, I want to really write electronic music for this independent game or something, or this person who's creating this IP, but I'm not good enough. That's more imposter, like, or maybe it's asking the question, am I good enough for what I'm doing? And if you have that insecurity, you can start developing that imposter syndrome. I think that's how that is. But I mean, I remember I saw there was an EVS stream. So true. I should be careful with saying this because people would really get mad at me for saying this, but you guys are all cool. But the EVS stream, Ethan was saying, women, why can't you just stay home and make sandwiches and play with your babies? You'd be so much happier. And for a lot of women, that's true. By the way, I feel personally fulfilled making breakfast sandwiches every morning I can for my husband. It fulfills me. I love doing it. Studio Super says, worthiness means everything because while power makes things happen, it's people that wills that power. Worthiness, let me see if I reading this right. Worthiness means everything because while power make things happen, it's people that wills that power. How shall they will that power? It's a worthy question. It is a worthy question. Yeah. Um, well, I mean, our best stories are those where people earn the power or learn the power and they don't abuse the power. And they're fighting against forces that would otherwise abuse the power. Yeah. I mean, I hate to say this, but Star Wars has pretty much nailed it. And I'll end it with this. She makes amazing breakfast sandwiches. I have impressed 3 family members now. They're it was my it was my sister who at the time she was with her first child who was just a newborn at the time, and she was always feeding her child, and she couldn't get up hardly ever to make her breakfast, and I was visiting. I'm like, "You want me to make you eggs?" And she's like, "Ah, no." "Well, okay, actually, if you're offering." And I made her eggs. She's like, "This is really good. How did you do this?" I'm like, "I don't know. I just make eggs every day." And then my mom, like a few weeks later or a few days later, she visited, and then she wasn't in the mood for breakfast. I guess she wasn't hungry. And then my sister on the couch still, she's like, "Oh, you should, mom, try her eggs. Let her make eggs for you." And my mom's like, okay." And then I make her eggs, and then she's like, these are amazing. This is better than any restaurant I get." I'm like, I just do it every day. I try to make it the right texture and consistency. So Big Al, now you guys are really keeping me on. Big Al asks, "What's on your breakfast sandwiches?" Um, to keep it cheap. Well, actually, it's the prof he actually. I'll only have this. It's kind of fattening, so I'll only have the sandwich if I'm not eating lunch at all until I'm done teaching because it's really hearty. What we do is when I make, I'll just tell you the ingredients because it works. Butter your frying pan, butter potato bread. Like, what was the potato bread that we use? It's like a Mexican family potato bread. Toast some potato bread. So make some eggs, fry some eggs, put extra sharp cheddar in it, add a little garlic pepper, maybe a little basil, just a little sprinkle. And then choice of meat is a little on for us because sometimes we do it the cheap way, but it's actually pretty good. We fry, I fry some bologna. Just take a little circle of bologna, put it on the pan, make sure it's fried, turn it to the side, make sure the eggs are the right consistency. I don't know why I'm talking about food right now. I'm just proud of what I could do for my husband. Uh, and then it will be a fried bologna, egg, extra sharp cheddar cheese sandwich on toasted potato bread. It's good stuff. It's great. I don't have it for me because the potato bread is too heavy for me. Only when I know I'm not having lunch or like I'm not eating for the next 6 hours because I'm teaching and I need the strength. But so he loves it every time. But one of these days I want to try like premium bacon because I also make really good bacon. Sorry guys, Prof has his privileges. So yeah, excellent, says Andreas Hernandez. Yeah, exactly. My egg sandwiches are excellent. Anyway, I think I actually would love to hang out a little bit longer, guys, but I didn't walk today because I had a really good writing stint and I just didn't want to stop. I want to take a walk before it gets too dark and leave you with that. But anyway, it was great. We did yes, Professor Husband Privileges. We made a really good stream. I missed streaming last Easter. Missed you guys, so we'll stream tomorrow. Sorry, not tomorrow. Next Sunday. And so we'll end it there until I see you next. Keep producing that art you love, and I will catch you later.